got life, such faith and trust. Oh, let the earth hold you, take care of you, and nurture you. Oh, the power of love is here now. The power of now is here now. The power of you, me, is here to create magic on us. The power of love is here now. The power of now is here now. The power of you, me, is here to create magic on us. The power of love is here now.
Hello and welcome to Ass Boundaries. I just want to check in who's here. Please type in the chat box where you're calling in from. It's always fun to see where people are calling in from. Let me see. I can see the chat. So in case anybody doesn't know, there's a chat box at the bottom in the middle. And you can just type their answers: Cape Town, South Africa, South Africa, South Africa, Durban. I've always wanted to go. My dream is to go on safari. When I can travel, this is just definitely on my bucket list. And I have so many friends there as well. And let me see. Who else is here? Cape Town, you're all in Cape Town. Wow. Just a moment. We're just going to do a few tech things. Yes. So for all of you, if you also want to raise your hand, there should be instructions how to raise your hand. If they're not there already, my VA will type in the instructions how to raise your hand at any point. Okay. South London, we've got someone from the UK. Yay! It's going to be interesting to see who else comes on. So we'll just unmute for a moment and all just say a big hello from everywhere, from wherever we are across the world.
Hello.
Hello.
South London.
Hi. Hello from Durban.
It's lovely to hear your voices.
Hello from Cape Town.
Yay! I'm coming, 2021.
We'll wait for you.
Okay, so before we begin, I just want to ask you a few questions, and I just invite you to type a Y or a yes in the chat box if you can relate to what I'm talking about. So I'm curious, how many of you find yourself saying yes on autopilot without even thinking, and then later wondering, what in the heck was I thinking? Just let me know if you relate to that. Okay. Oh, I can't see anyone. And how many of you find that you overcommit yourself to people, to things? Oh, I can't see the messages. Okay, I don't know why. They're not sure. Oh, yes, now I see them. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, I'm still learning this technology thing. And how many of you are worried that you'll disappoint others if you say no? I know that was a big one for me. Or afraid of the repercussions if you actually said no. Maybe hurting someone's feelings, or them being angry, or even your own story of you know, thinking you're selfish or not a nice person to say no to people. And it's different in different situations. I think you know, we have issues. Some of us have more of the boundary setting at work, some of them more with our partner, some with our kids, some with all of the above. So I'm interested if you can type who you find it most challenging to set a boundary with in your life. Work, kids, partner, parents, work. Yeah, parents is a hard one. I think with anyone that that we feel is an authority figure in our life, it can feel really challenging to set a boundary. And even as adults, it's sometimes really challenging to set boundaries with our family members. And it's just know that you're not alone. I've been coaching women all around the world from their teens to their 60s. And it's very interesting across all the cultures and across all the ages. So many women have trouble setting healthy boundaries. And it really surprised me. I thought with the younger generation it would be easier, but they also, especially with the authority figures, with people at work, the parents, they still have issues. And I think for women, and I'm not going to be exclusive for women because there may be some men here. I can see Owen. It's also an issue for men, but I think with women, it's in our DNA. It's passed down the lineage. And, you know, there's so many stories of guilt, or that you don't appreciate people. There's so many stories attached. I think starting off in childhood, it begins as a child, where we are very challenged when we say no. And this happens in our upbringing at different phases of life. And the problem with not being able to set boundaries, healthy boundaries with people, is that we begin to burn ourselves out. I can speak for myself. Okay. So I know that this has been one of my biggest life challenges, and this is why I'm doing this talk. I had trouble setting boundaries. I burnt myself out. I would say yes at all different times. I would drop everything for people, and I would be continually exhausting myself. And the interesting thing was that I also found it difficult to ask for what I needed, to say what I felt. And I think often when we have problems with boundaries, we also have issues with asking for what we want and getting what we want in life. The boundaries are not only with other people, but I think even with ourselves. We can put up boundaries around asking, and we can put up boundaries to people and also to ourselves. And it can be really challenging letting support into your life when you can't ask for what you want and what you need. And often it's difficult to set boundaries when you want to get people's approval. And I'm interested to hear how many of you have an issue with people pleasing, just wanting to be nice, just wanting to please others, do the right thing. Yes, yes. I know for me, I often didn't want to rock the boat. I didn't want to I didn't want to rock the boat by saying no. I didn't want to rock the boat by asking for support. I didn't want to rock the boat for asking for my needs to be met or to share my feelings. I think in my own life, I was very much a peacemaker, always trying to gain the equilibrium. And in having that pattern, I realized that I began to enable people's behavior. Initially, and I've found this with many women I've coached too, in not setting boundaries, we're in a place of victimhood versus empowerment. And when we can't ask for our needs to be met, it's very, very difficult. It's very, very difficult in life to see when we don't get what we get, that it is a part of what we facilitate by how we respond to others or how we don't respond. For example, not saying, saying yes when we don't want to, not saying no when we really need to. And when we don't do that, we enable people to treat us a certain way. And that can set us up for really feeling like victims, in the workplace, in our family, with our partner, even with our friends out in the world. So, yes, especially in our industry of health and well-being, thanks, Tracy, many of our personalities are people pleasers. Yes. It's so true. And it's often in the healing arts, we're trying so hard to accommodate, to please. A lot of us are empaths. Who here would identify as an empath? Yes, Priscilla. Yes, Norina. Yes, Lucinda. Yes. And often we're so empathic to what other people are feeling or wanting or how they react, how they respond to a situation, that we kind of disconnect from what we're really, really needing. And this is one of the things that affects many people too, when they're always pleasing others. People pleasing, we tend to disconnect from our own needs, from our own desires, what we need to do. And when we disconnect from our needs, we disconnect from, so many good things in our life. We numb out. We can even disassociate. Has anyone heard of disassociation or relate to disassociating from their feelings, from their needs? Yes, 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 thanks, Owen, Stefan. Hey, it's great to have some guys here. I want to welcome the men here, because this talk is catered to women, but we're all humans. We've all have the feminine and the masculine within. And yeah, I can really acknowledge that some men have trouble setting boundaries too. And one of the interesting things I've discovered, it's a bit off topic, but it's kind of on topic. When we don't set boundaries, we often attract narcissistic behavior from others and expectations. Can anyone relate to that? Yeah, yeah. So yes, when we don't set boundaries, people will tend to push us and want more. And as I said, we burn out. So it's so important. So many women, the statistics are huge, are burning out from trying to fulfill too many roles, please too many people at the expense of themselves, and we just disconnect. And the the statistics of women suffering from depression and anxiety, and I'll say people too, men too, is phenomenal. And I feel that there's a connection too when we don't have boundaries, we don't connect with what we're feeling, we disconnect, we disassociate, we often split off, and we can go either into anxiety of people pleasing or showing up or trying to perform. And often it sets us up for perfectionism, for trying to do everything perfect, never enough. And on the flip side, it can really bring people spiraling down into depression. And I'm curious from who's here, which end of the spectrum do you identify more with? Feeling down and victimized, or feeling anxious and needing to perform, needing to please? Okay, I'll just leave it another minute. I'm really, really curious. Anxiety around the need to please. In between, yes. Yes, Owen, we can also fluctuate. Anyone else have anything to contribute? Needing to please. Yep. Yep, can totally relate to that. Okay. Beautiful. So it's really important for us to set boundaries, to have healthy relationships, to have a healthy relationship with ourselves, our body, and our health. Because I find when we don't set boundaries, we often neglect the things that we need to do, having the exercise, having enough time out to do the things we enjoy, when we're always running around, when we're always trying to perform, perfect, or please, we neglect ourselves. So this is one, huge piece. And then the second piece is it can really interfere with our relationships, with having healthy relationships. And when we're always pleasing, the feedback that I've gotten from previous partners, and also some of my clients have gotten from partners and people in their life, is that people don't feel that they're being authentic, because they're trying so hard to perform, so hard to step up to a certain standard and do the right thing, that often for the other person, it feels like they don't know who you are. And I can so deeply relate to that. I don't know if anybody else can. Has anybody else had that feedback or experienced it with someone who tries so hard, but you don't really feel that you know who this person is? And that it's hard to go deeper in relationship with them when they don't communicate what they need. They don't communicate their limits. It can keep things on such a superficial level. And once we can express our needs and our preferences, it can sometimes rock the boat initially in relationships, because we're doing something different and people don't like it. But I've found when I've taken the risk and gone there, it's deepened the relationship. It shows our vulnerability. It shows who we really are and what we really want in relationship with that person, what we need, the quality of relationship we want, how to make things work, how to make the dynamics work between you and the other person or the other people around you. So for authentic communication, we need good boundaries. And the boundaries are not just about saying no to others. This is a really important part. The boundary is also around saying yes to ourselves and to yes to things that we want. So the boundary is not about putting up walls. The boundary is something that you can take up or put down, and you can basically utilize to create more fulfillment, more connection in relationships, more authenticity. So yes, there's also another part with boundaries. We often feel we have to respond with a yes or a no, that people want an answer immediately. Can anyone else relate to that? The sense that someone asks you something and you've got to come up with an answer straight away. Yes. Yes. I know I used to feel almost anxious sometimes when people asked me for something and I felt I had to respond straight away and I didn't have a chance to really check in. So an important part of boundaries is not just the yes and the no, but the maybe. Sometimes we need to take time to reflect, to think about things. And when I'm not sure, and even as a habit initially, if I think I'm sure and I tend to respond on autopilot, I've practiced saying maybe. I'll get back to you soon. Let me think about it. And that can give us the space to really tune in to what it is that we need. And so often the response comes from the mind versus from the body. And often our body knows more what we need than the mind. Has anyone heard of gut feelings or had a gut feeling of like, I know this is the right thing or the wrong thing? Just typing a quick yes if you can relate to the gut feelings. Yes. And out of you, I'm wondering how many of you listen to your gut feelings? This is the interesting piece. And how many of you honor your gut feelings?